Hey everyone, welcome back to Rebuilding the Snyderverse. This is episode 6, and today we will finally be going over the Martian Manhunter series that will be on HBOMAX. The Rebuilding the Snyderverse series is where we use existing DC films as well as films and HBOMAX originals that we have created to rebuild the Snyderverse. So the Martian Manhunter series would have a budget of $200 million and would only be 3 episodes long. Now, the reason why I would only have 3 episodes is because I don't want the story to have any filler throughout the series. I want every scene to matter and to never feel bored when watching. I have felt like that has been the case for most of the Marvel Disney Plus shows, and I think that is down to how many episodes there are. So I think 3 episodes, all being 45 minutes long, is more than enough time to explain who Martian Manhunter is, where he has come from, how he came to Earth, and why he didn't fight in Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, while setting up his future in the Justice League. Every episode would have Harry Lennox narrating throughout when necessary. The Snyderverse is in chapters, so I like the idea of having every series or film to be a paragraph in one of those chapters. So, having Harry Lennox narrate feels like he is a part of the storytelling experience. So the first episode would start on Mars. The opening 20 minutes would be focused on us seeing John Johns' life, him growing up and getting his powers from the ritual. Now for the final 20 or so minutes, I would want us to see some mysterious ships flying towards Mars. As they land, we discover that it is Darkseid, or at this point in time, Uxas. Now, Mars would be the planet Darkseid invades before coming to Earth, as in the history lesson that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League. This fight would display the pure chaos and carnage Darkseid caused across the galaxy in his quest to find his great prize. We would see this invasion from Martian Manhunter's perspective and how he was mentally scarred by the fire and destruction that Darkseid caused. This would display his weakness to fire being a mental and physical weakness. This invasion of Mars has to be visibly traumatic to Martian Manhunter, so any characters we were introduced to in the first 20 minutes must be visibly slaughtered by Darkseid and his parademons. It's not a very nice thing to think about, but it will make our understanding to his fear of fire that much deeper. The episode would end with Martian Manhunter being sent to Earth just before his entire race was wiped out. The second episode would start with Martian Manhunter crash landing on Earth, and this would be set just before the history lesson in the Snyder Cut. Now what I want to see happen is for Martian Manhunter to witness this assault on Earth, and to see the trauma on his face remembering what happened on his planet. I want this to add to the reasoning as to why he didn't help out in Man of Steel or Batman v Superman. I want the audience to see his fear when he sees similar explosions and flames as to what happens on Mars. It would be similar to a soldier's PTSD, having the little things really affect him and remind him of what happened on the battlefield. So, Martian Manhunter landing on Earth and witnessing Darkseid's invasion on Earth would take around 10 to 15 minutes. The ending to this scene would be the Green Lantern ring flying towards Martian Manhunter, floating in front of him, calling him to put the ring on. Martian Manhunter, being able to read what the ring was telling him, tells the ring that he is not worthy, that he couldn't even save his family. He tells the ring to find someone on Earth who is worthy to wear the ring. The ring then flies off into the distance. This is where the series would start to accelerate through time. We would hear Harry Lennox explain he witnessed Earth's wars and conflicts, how he didn't interfere too much but would try his best to help out where he could. I'd like to see him saving innocent people throughout time, but when he saw any sort of fire or resemblance to Darkseid's invasion on Mars, he would start having a panic attack and break down. Something I think would be interesting to see is seeing him try to save people in World War I, at the same time that Wonder Woman is. What would be really cool is that if at one point we see Martian Manhunter transform into a random person trying to help people move out away from the conflict before seeing a huge explosion in front of him and freezing him with fear, before Wonder Woman saves him from a bullet. These sorts of details I feel make the Snyderverse a bit richer and even more connected. We don't need to have that scene in the series, but it could just add an extra layer of background story to the Snyderverse. We would see Martian Manhunter watching over the human race, learning how they evolve and interact with each other, learning how people hate what they don't understand. This is a message I really want to get across in this story. This emphasises the reasoning behind Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, how this is a society who is not ready for aliens, and this is why Martian Manhunter never revealed himself to the world. We would see Martian Manhunter become General Swanwick, and works his way through the army up to a general. We would see him watching over America's defences, so that way he knew if any extraterrestrial incidences happened. His goal was to help those who were from another planet, to protect them and to look over them. This is how Martian Manhunter would link to Superman. We would see General Swanwick be alerted that an unidentified aircraft has just crash-landed in Kansas. Swanwick insisted that he would go himself to find out what this aircraft was, and to report back when he knew what it was. In the cornfields of Kent Farm, we would see Swanwick glide down to the crashed Kryptonian pod. He looked through and saw it was a baby. 2 flashlights would appear through the corn, and Swanwick hid away to observe what these people would do. We would see a young Martha and Jonathan Kent kneeling over the pod to inspect what was inside. When they realised it was a baby, they both made sure he was okay and wrapped him up in a scarf to keep him warm. We would hear Martha and Jonathan discuss what to do, and explained how they would take care of this baby, and they named him Clark. Martian Manhunter, using his telepathy, could tell these were good people, and allowed them to look after Clark. Over the years, he monitored Clark's life, ensuring he was safe. Swanwick informed the government that it was just a meteor and nothing to worry about, or something more scientific that is not to worry about. We would then move to a more modern event, Man of Steel, where we would see General Swanwick working for the army, watching Lois and Superman talk. Now we all know that Martian Manhunter has been looking over Clark his whole life, but this was never a part of his plan. This was Clark's decision to surrender to humanity, and it was out of Swanwick's hands. He had to just play along with what Clark wanted to do. So we see the same events play out from Man of Steel, with Harry Lennox's narration on how he planned to reveal himself to the world after Superman had done so, because now he wasn't alone. We would then see a montage of social media and media outlets protesting about how Superman was wrong and how he should go back to his planet. This would match the society in Batman v Superman. This reaction from half of society would also stop Swanwick showing the world who he truly is. And that would be the end of episode 2. Episode 3 would start from the Batman v Superman final battle, this time more focused on what Swanwick was seeing. We would see Doomsday's destruction on the monitors, causing Swanwick to start subtly shaking, displaying he is still affected by what happened on Mars. Then we would cut to Superman's funeral. We would hear Harry Lennox saying how Superman's sacrifice inspired him and made him realise that if a greater threat arrived, the world needed more heroes, and to know who was a potential threat. A couple of days would pass and we would see General Swanwick using his power within the army to get high-level information on potential threats. Now on a computer, Swanwick would open a file that had all the listings of potential global threats. On this list, we would see many well-known villains such as Joker, Deathstroke, newly added Lex Luthor, and even Catwoman. These reports all hinting at their past and present, but inside this file, there would be another file, focused on historical reports. This file would be on many beings that may have been painted on a wall or scribed onto some parchment at some point in time, where ancestors had reported their lives and experiences. The point being that this was the file that contained any possible mythological or extraterrestrial threats that may have been here before or are still here. The file would contain mythological beings such as Ares, Doomsday with a cross through his image, and even Bigfoot. But one report was on a being coded as U-X-A-S, aka Uxus. This file would contain the paintings on the wall that we see in the Snyder Cut. The file would explain what Diana tells Bruce in the Snyder Cut. The description explains that this could just be folklore, but we know as an audience that Darkseid has been here before, and so does Martian Manhunter. Swanwick would then exit the file and would glance at the Doomsday image. He clicked on the image and saw Superman lying there on the ground next to Doomsday. Swanwick remembered Martha and got up and flew straight to Kansas. He landed on the front porch and used his X-ray vision to see how Martha was doing. She was placing her belongings into boxes. Confused, Swanwick glanced outside and saw the sold sign. He looked back in and listened to her thoughts. She was obviously upset, and we hear what Martha says to Lois in the Snyder Cut. Martian Manhunter, now visibly upset, flies away to the Daily Planet, hoping to see Lois and to inform her to check on Martha. When he gets there, he finds out that she hasn't been back at work since Clark's death. He then flies to her apartment and transforms into Martha. This is when we see the same scene we saw in the Snyder Cut. I know many people did have a problem with that scene because it was so beautiful, and then to see it was Martian Manhunter all along took that emotion away. But I think adding this background to that scene makes that moment just as, if not more, emotional, because we are seeing Martian Manhunter just passing on what Martha was thinking, as well as adding his own grievances as a comfort to Lois, as he had lost his entire family. So, what he is saying to Lois is Martha's and Martian Manhunter's emotions in one. We would then cut to the next day, where General Swanwick is back at work, when an alert goes off. There has been an incident at the Kryptonian ship in Metropolis. Superman has somehow returned and is fighting some other powerful beings. Swanwick realizes that Bruce Wayne must have brought the heroes together and tried to bring Superman back to life. We would then witness on the monitor Steppenwolf breaking into Star Labs and disappearing with the Mother Box. The world was now aware of the Justice League. Now, one thing we never saw in the Snyder Cut was the media's reaction to the Justice League forming. In this series we would, and General Swanwick would be making an official statement to the press on this matter. We would see him reading a script to a camera crew, the script saying how we do not know who these beings are and we don't know if they are here to help us. But we see Swanwick decide to ignore the script and say what he thinks, how he believes they are here to protect us, and how Superman and any of the other heroes are not a threat. This is the beginning of Martian Manhunter being known to the world. The ending of the episode would be Martian Manhunter flying to Bruce Wayne's home, and we would see the same final scene from the Snyder Cut. That is how the series would end. The end credits scene, however, bridges the gap between the Snyder Cut and the world's reaction after it. The end credit scene would start with Martian Manhunter explaining the final part of the series we just watched to a figure just out of frame. When he finishes his story, we hear a very familiar voice, thanking Martian Manhunter for looking out for him. Then, the camera pans to Henry Cavill's Superman, wearing the black suit. We see Martian Manhunter transform into Clark Kent, and they both step out into a crowd full of journalists, proving that Superman is not Clark Kent. So, that is the series for Martian Manhunter on HBOMAX. I hope you enjoyed it. I did really struggle at the start to create a Martian Manhunter series because I really wanted to tell his origin story, but to also incorporate his story into the rest of the DCEU. And in all honesty, I think I made it work. I like the idea of Martian Manhunter looking out for Superman for all those years, and also interacting with Wonder Woman. I feel it's those moments that makes the universe feel so connected and yet so individual at the same time. The next episode is the final paragraph of Chapter 1, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, where the Justice League take on the Legion of Doom, or the Injustice League. So make sure to let me know what you want to see in that episode in the comments below. But that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I hope to see you here again soon. So until then, have a great day. Bye!